Here's how my client got an NYU Law with a 166 LSAT despite being a KJD and coming from a state school. It's not an easy time to be applying straight out of college. At many of the top law schools these days, at least half, sometimes even more of the incoming class has had at least 1 year, often 3 to 5 years of substantive professional post-grad experience. So if you're a KJD, admissions officers are asking themselves, why should we admit you now when we have other applicants with many years of experience? Hey, I'm Mara Freilich. I'm one of the top-rated law school admissions consultants in the country, and I help clients who don't have the SATs, who don't have the story, or might be KJDs where the process is stacked against them, still get into their top law schools. I want to share with you my top 2 strategies that I use with my KJD applicants nowadays so that they stand out and can get admitted even when they're competing against applicants who have a lot of professional experience. Strategy 1 is show maturity, not just passion. A lot of college seniors end up writing applications that feel very earnest and passionate, but they often come across as naive and maybe a little young too. They might say things like, I care about XYZ issue, whatever it is, or I'm passionate about helping people, or, I've always been interested in law and I've had these internships that showed me that, or I'm just really good at the skills that lawyering requires. And while that all may be very valid, unfortunately, passion and skills are not what's going to make an admissions officer's confident betting on a 22-year-old with not much professional experience versus someone who has years of post-grad professional experience. What they're really looking for is maturity. A mature applicant knows why they want to go into the legal field. They understand the realities of a legal practice, which means they also understand the limits of what they can do. And they understand how law fits in for them specifically. Okay, let's go back to my KJD client who got into NYU Law with a 166 LSAT. On paper, her resume looked like a lot of other KJD applicants. She had political internships, strong extracurricular and leadership positions around campus. She had other legal experience where she had interned during the school year. She had volunteered, she had done mock trial. She did all the things that so many typical KJD applicants do. Initially, before she came to work with me, she had framed her experiences around the idea of she loves helping people and she really wants to effectuate change. It's not a bad story, but it's a story that thousands of applicants tell every year, and it's not reflecting her mature understanding of the legal field and her role in it. Instead, we helped her connect her experiences to a deeper pattern that then connected directly to her why law. Through years of advocacy and political work, she had encountered the same frustration over and over again. And that was that many of the outcomes she cared about deeply depended on legal structures, legal arguments, legal institutions. She'd already developed a more insightful, more mature understanding of how change happens and how law is involved in that. So to her, law wasn't just a generic way to help people. It was a very pointed and specific way to alleviate a frustration she kept encountering. That's a much more mature why law than a generalized, I want to use my legal degree to help people. And critically, we didn't need to change a single thing about her background or her resume. We changed how admissions understood the experiences she did have. So now admissions weren't just saying, oh yeah, she's a really involved student. Saw her as someone who has already operated within serious institutions, taken on meaningful responsibility, and developed mature judgment about the role law can play, and a pragmatic one too. So that's what strong KJD applicants do. They show maturity through insight. But admissions aren't just asking what you did. They're also asking about how much responsibility did you have? What were you trusted with? What decisions did you influence? And what does this tell us about your readiness for not just law school, but for the profession of law? That's strategy 2. Don't focus on what you did, focus on what your experiences reveal about your maturity. So most KJDs assume that law schools care about, where you interned, who you worked with, what kind of leadership positions you had, what extracurriculars you were involved in that were law related. In reality, admissions is often trying to understand something deeper. When you were placed in a real world environment, how did you contribute? Did others trust you with meaningful work? Were you solving problems, managing competing priorities, influencing outcomes? Those are the details that help admissions assess your maturity. So for my KJD client who got into NYU, we focused on what she was already doing inside the roles of her resume. We highlighted moments where she was coordinating stakeholders, navigating competing interests, helping execute initiatives, and contributing to real work that had consequences beyond herself. As a result, her application stopped feeling like a collection of student activities and instead read as someone who is already functioning in professional environments where responsibility, judgment, and execution matters. And this is an important distinction. Law schools know that a 22-year-old is not going to be able to have the same resume as a 28 or 30-year-old. And they're not expecting that. So you don't want to try to emulate or even compete with that. Your job is to show that you have evidence that you can interact in a professional environment already and that you have the readiness and the maturity to thrive in the legal profession. So if you're a KJD applicant, yes, it is more challenging now than it used to be, but it is absolutely not impossible. And most of the time, it's not that you need more. You just need to figure out the right positioning for the experiences that you do already have.